Can you believe I filled 2 more sketchbooks? I've actually got another couple that are almost full. So I thought I'd better get this video out, I better get this recorded and out before I have more sketchbooks to record tours of. So I've got 2 sketchbooks today to do tours of. I will put on the screen now the time if you would like me to shut up, and if you want the voiceless flip through, I'll pop that at the end at this time. So skip through if you want to, if you don't want to listen to me ramble about what I've filled these sketchbooks with. I'm so excited that these 2 are done. I'm doing 2 for you today. Both of these sketchbooks I started before I really started pushing ugly art. So it'll be interesting to see where I was before ugly art was a thing and where it is now when it is a thing in my life. These are 2 sketchbooks I made. They're pretty inexpensively made. The covers are just thick chipboard cardboard with, so that cost me money, but it's recycled. So there's a company online that has it recycled. Cover it with fabric, and then I bound with, I think, only a single stitch Coptic using, I'm fairly certain this is like crochet cotton. This is a 4-ply crochet cotton that I used to do a single needle Coptic stitch binding. And the paper on both of these is just cartridge paper because I just wanted a sketchbook that I wasn't afraid to fill up. So I just used cartridge paper on them. So I'm going to put it down, we'll have a look at them. So I actually made these 2 sketchbooks a little while ago when I did a children's illustrating course with Zenny Louise. It was a course on writing and illustrating children's picture books, and Anna Pignataro, who was the illustration side of things, suggested having 3 sketchbooks and doing sketching and practicing those things in each of them. So these are 2 of the sketchbooks that I made, because when you tell me I need 3 sketchbooks, of course that means I'm going to make 3 new sketchbooks. So these were 2 of them. So this one started off as the animals and objects one, and this one started off as the nature studies one. And then there's another one over there for people. And you can see I started off doing those things in them, and then it's just whatever hell I wanted. It doesn't happen towards the end. I love this cover. This fabric here I got from a Craft Alive. It's like a big craft fair in Australia. And there was this lady who had just these most amazing colourful fabrics there. I actually don't have any more of it because I just loved it so much. It was my go-to fabric. So I used it all up and I love it. So just look at it, it's so cool. So I'm going to leave that one. We're going to start with this one. So this one, it looks so grubby, but that doesn't bother me too much. Yeah, so this one started as nature studies. I took these over to New Zealand, and I remember actually doing this, and I was walking through this park and there were like these pine cones, and like this was the leaves of the tree, and this was like the pine cone that came from it. And just doing some of these pine trees and the flowers and the leaves that were part of it. I actually really like some of these drawings. So that first one was just with lead pencil, and then I think I just had this like brush pen that I've had for donkey's years. I don't even know the brand of it. Yeah. And straight away, page 3, I start getting into other things. So I started doing some birds already. So this is still pre-ugly art. I've always been quite a loose, messy artist anyway, so this is nothing out of the ordinary. But I was playing around here with using like a pen and marker and then colouring it in. Not really colouring it in, but adding colour to it. We're using either other markers or pencils and things like that. And really well and truly not nature studies anymore. So yeah, that was another bird. In Golgong each year we have a Henry Lawson festival, and part of it is this parade that goes down the main street, and they always have these old tractors and old cars. And so these were just some photos I took of some of those cars and tractors. I decided just to draw. I was trying to do accurate, but just sketching, not ridiculous. And again, same with this one. I put a sloth in the driver's seat of this one though. So I was just trying to see how it went. I do enjoy drawing like this sometimes. So even though I'm now all about the ugly art movement, I do still enjoy trying to draw quite accurately, because I actually think that looks quite good. It's not 100% accurate. There's a few little perspective issues, but I actually really like how that looks. This here was an illustration I was planning, and I actually used AI to help me plan it. So I used AI to generate the picture, and then I drew from it. So it was like this little underwater fish scene, and this guy had this house. It's built on this like rock formation with all this coral over it, and you can see the fish is in the window on in a hammock just chilling. I actually really like it. I don't know if there's any more in here, but I did a few drawings and illustrations from this. This is the point in my life where I was like really hardcore, I want to be an illustrator, so I really needed to get used to this type of drawing and stuff. And even like these chickens were meant to be for my Steve book, so I was getting used to how a chicken runs and moves, so drawing that to be able to illustrate it. And this was a picture of the chicken running towards you, and you can see I was like practicing the foot, trying to get it right. How would it actually look? And I've actually got a larger illustration of that too. Just more of the same. These are studies from my dogs. They're not the best because you can't really tell they're dachshunds, but then you got some eyes and stuff, trying to get those emotion into those eyes. That's what I was doing. So really pushing that. Again, here's another one of that same type of illustration. I added a little octopus with a hat who's coming up to visit his friend. He's obviously a bit upset about something. So I just used that AI image and made it my own. It's just an idea. And so this was, I drew it in pencil and then I went over it with like a brush pen. So there was a bit of variation in the line as well. And this one was also a AI image that I drew because I thought that was cool. Frog as a wizard type thing, or a witch, or a... And again, I actually don't like this because the proportions are way off. It just looks... And I was trying to play around with this whole idea of doing this kind of silhouette in the background but a lighter grey. So not doing it the black. So these trees that are closer to us, black. Really, they should have been bigger, thinking back on it. And I was just mucking around with it, trying to... Hands behind its back. He's back because I hate hands. I still wouldn't mind doing more illustration work. This was another idea I had where it's like it's a shark, but it's actually a submarine that looks like a shark, and like the teeth, where the teeth are, is actually like where the control center is. This guy, he's driving it, and these guys are over here talking about whatever, I don't know. And then like I thought, what if it's like a cruise ship, but an underwater cruise ship, or they've got this kind of like balcony type thing where they can come out of their rooms. And it was just an idea I thought about. I don't know. These ones, I feel like these drawings were part of something. Not that one. I think that's part of Birdtober, because that's what I've got, all the Birdtober here. And as you can see, I ticked off one. Another little illustration there. But yeah, I was really in a phase here of drawing in ink. So still drawing in pencil first, but then going over in with an ink pen. Obviously I had every intention to do a Birdtober, but in true Courtney style, I probably did about 3 and then stopped. Like you see, there's like a beetle. That's not even a bird. That one's a bird, but I don't know what one it is. Now, in this book, I prepped a couple of the pages with Art Spectrum Colour Fix. So this is a green one that I got on hand. And I prepped a couple of the pages because I wanted to use more soft pastel. And I thought, I'll just leave this page blank so I don't have to use fixative on it and stuff. So I started playing around with, this is quite smudged now. That's okay. Playing around with getting back into soft pastels. This is probably the first ugly art one in this book. I'm not saying it's the first one I did, because I actually think this is one of the last drawings I did in this sketchbook. I don't necessarily go page by page. Sometimes I do. Up until this point, I'm fairly certain I did. But because I had prepped all these pages, sometimes I didn't want to use soft pastels. I just wanted to do normal artworks. You'll see there's not all of these are going to be ugly art from here, but this one is, because this was one of the last pages I had still available. And I think it was charcoal with just a soft pastel to add a bit of colour to it. And I actually really like how that looks. This was me playing around with some new soft pastels that I had, including the pan pastel. Yeah, and just playing around with how it works with charcoal and soft pastel. So I think this I did before this. It's just a charcoal drawing of a chicken. Again, this one's pre-ugly art, so it's a little bit messy and stuff, but I was probably more aiming for more realistic representation. Same with this one. That's a glar, in case you didn't notice, with charcoal. And again, this is obviously some sort of owl, and that's this one. This is the olive green on the underneath. It's a lot darker than the other colours, the olive green. That one's really pretty, that colour there. Yeah, so I did a lot of charcoal. This was with pastel pencils, trying to, again, still going with that whole illustration type thing. And how can I create a bit of a character out of an animal that I love? Yeah, so I did that one. This is actually, I probably shouldn't have done this one. This is charcoal. This is quite recent, this one. This was a drawing of a dog on Instagram that I follow. It's a boxer. And he's got this most derpy looking face. And it's so cute. It's hilarious. So that I drew him. This was just having to play around with some soft pastels. With some of the soft pastels I had handy. I think this was just pastel pencil, actually. This was a charcoal drawing of a cow, quite close up. So his ears are off at the side and staring straight at us. This was playing with this colour palette here. So these were new soft pastels I got. And I thought, what if I just try using all of them in a single picture? And that's what I did here. Struggled using the pan pastels, but I actually really like how this kind of looks. It's just a bit different. It's different. It's a nice colour palette, actually. Same dog, just I think I used my graphite pencils. These were the last few pages of this book, and I just wanted to use them up. So I got these woodless graphite pencils in 6B and 8B, and I was just practicing using them, saying, oh look, I just add a bit more, why not? This is an ugly art type thing. It's actually not that ugly, but this is starting to get more loose, starting to repeat some of the same pictures, having to play around with some colours. This is pre-ugly art. I actually really love this picture. I do actually really love some of my drawings that aren't ugly art, but I do also love all my ugly art too. So this is a weedy sea dragon, close up on its face. So yeah, I thought that was cool. I went through a bit of a phase as well, trying to play around with gouache and using brown more and things like that. Yeah, and those are what they are. I don't really know what to say. This is that same Instagram. This is their other boxer dog, and they're both very derpy looking. Very cute. They're very cute dogs. This is a church, I think, in Hill End. I took some pictures of the historical buildings in Hill End when I went out there for a camping trip. It's actually not that far. It's probably only about an hour drive from here. So we do tend to go there regularly because it's easy. So one time I went into town and took some photos of the historic buildings, and I really liked how this church was. Obviously, as you can see, I didn't do much with it. It was just more of a study, more than anything. Yeah, and same with this one. I was trying to get like this perspective type thing, and there's this fence bit here as well. Having to play around practicing it. Drew a cow, didn't like its leg, so I circled it. Something's wrong with that leg. This I did early on. Like I said, I still do, will often just open up a book to a random page and use it. And again, I was having a play with using gouache, or like acrylic gouache, and painting. I actually don't mind how this turned out. And I drew this black cockatoo, because I love how the yellow just pops. And I did an underpainting in blue, which kind of you can see here and there. Yeah, I actually really like how this turned out. Using more acrylic gouache on these. I drew it first and then used the gouache to paint it. This one I actually really don't mind. He's not bad, but this one I like better. I like how his body turned out. It's quite nice. Quite nice, quite nice. Lobster, still in acrylic gouache. Started playing around with using some fancy colours. It was quite purple, this picture, but I exaggerated the purple, obviously, because I thought, oh, let's just have a go doing some painting. These kind of gouache paintings. I was on my way to getting towards the ugly art, so I was trying to loosen up more with these, so not be so static or worrying about making it look exactly like it. I wanted it to be recognizable, but I was more concentrating on tone and that type of thing rather than an exact replication. Another acrylic. I don't even think I finished that one, that little fishy. And this is my Stephen. I don't know, what did I use for that? I must have used either coloured pencil or something, because that's not smudging. I must have used a coloured pencil. So that's my Steve. He's so cute. This is, I think I used a Neocolor too with this, and just did a bit of a drawing of a turtle coming swimming at us. Probably more of a study as well. He's a bit too fat. A bit too fat. My bad. This was me again having a play around with some illustration ideas, trying to make it look like a squirrel and get the cuteness of a squirrel. I actually think that's very cute. That's very cute. This is very cute. Yeah, another cow. Oh, look, the baby Stephen. This was a picture. I can actually recognise this based on this. This was the day we brought Stephen home, and he fell asleep on the passenger seat of my car, and I took a little photo of him asleep, and he had a little puppy tummy. Look at the big fat tummy. Oh, he's so cute. These were ducks. Actually, they probably go this way. Ducks that were diving in Queenstown in New Zealand. They have this, you go down, it's like this whole dinosaur experience, but then they open up this thing and they put food in the water, and all the big fish come up to the window and the ducks dive down. So I was trying to get photos of these ducks diving for the food, because it was fantastic. It was so good to see. And I was trying to get the bubbles coming off as they're going through, but anyway, having a play around, playing, having fun. It's a prawn. Drawing of a prawn. This was a scene from that same book that I was planning with the chickens and stuff. This is Steve in my book, and he's protecting everything with his girlfriend Ricky the stick. That's changed. It's not a stick anymore, it's a pair of undies. And I wanted this whole scene of the tree in Australia overlooking the farm. Yeah. Some crabs. Some pencil drawings of crabs. Some fishies. I do still enjoy getting out lead pencil. I don't use a lead pencil much anymore with ugly art, but sometimes I will just use graphite. Some more fish. When I go through phases of themes, so this was a bit of obviously a fish phase with lead pencil and coloured pencil. Just drawing some fish. It's the only way you get better at it. Some cool fish. A butterfly, don't know why. Lady beetle with a very elongated neck. Another lady beetle. Obviously just doing studies of a picture that I had, obviously. Another fish. This I think may be somewhat made up. Just taking a bit of inspiration from some other fish. And this is just a ballpoint pen. Just using some different stuff to do drawings. More ballpoint pen drawings. Got this fishy, which doesn't actually look finished. This is a catfish. I have a couple of really cool pictures from Holly Cannon. I'm a Patreon of hers, so you get access to all her reference pictures. She's got some good ones of some catfish in there. So this was one. I just wanted some different perspectives other than just doing them on the side on profile. Can I get this guy to actually look like he's swimming towards us, or gonna go straight past us, kind of thing. Yeah, another Neocolor, because I don't like brown, so I thought, let's actually use my brown Neocolor up, just drawing and doing studies. I don't even know what to say about that one. I feel like that's charcoal that I've sprayed, so it's not smudgy, which is good. Of some rainbow lorikeets, just drinking water at a little bath thing. Some prawns. Kept drawing some prawns. Why not? Why not? Just draw some. If you want to draw a prawn, draw a prawn. Because I did. Quite a few times. Again, I think these are Neocolor 2s. Because why not? Oh yeah, there's that derpy dog again. With this, I think still Neocolor 2s just on these black background. I was trying to find what worked best with this black ink that I had smooshed about, and the Neo colours seem to work quite well. And I like Neo colours because they don't smoosh about heaps in your sketchbook. They were good. There's a rainbow lorikeet there. This was one of the last drawings I did. I'm trying to fill this up. Actually, this is one I did in the video about filling these sketchbooks, and I used some oil pastels that I saved from the bin that some people were going to throw out at my school at the end of last year. I just picked random colours just to see how they'd go together. Why not? Near colour 2 drawing of a cow on top of the green background. I use a lot of my sketchbooks to clean off brushes before washing them in water to try and minimise the amount of paint that ends up in our waterways. Or for me, I often put my water, or got a rock garden that I tip it in, use it up in a book instead of putting it into the ground kind of thing. So I often will do this where I do it in the background and then I just draw over the top of it. This page, I think that's a Inktense that's made that darker line. So these were some bats that I was drawing, and I actually mixed up how I was holding the pencil. So I actually held it like this to do these drawings. So I just grabbed a couple of coloured pencils and then added some Inktense. And I was just drawing these bats that were flying. I actually don't mind them. This one looks probably more like a bird, but this one I think you can tell it's a bat, mainly because of the wing on it. Another Murray cod with those same oil pastels that were going to be chucked out, except for this greeny colour. I think that's a Neo colour 2 that I have. And I just wanted to see how it went with this reddy colour, because this reddy colour is really pretty. And then in the back of the book here, the last few pages, I was having a play around with styles for when I was planning to illustrate that book I was telling you about. So it's actually a junior fiction book that I've written and then hopefully will illustrate. And so I was just having a play around with how to do it. And so this was a paint marker, then I added water to, or maybe I just got some watered down ink to add the shadows. Just playing around with what works. This was with my left hand. This was when I first discovered the left-handed drawing idea, and I got it from Bruce Watley. I used to be a member of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and I went to a retreat of theirs, and it was so good. And Bruce Watley, I've admired my whole life, loved his books since I was a kid. He presented, and he was saying how he does a lot of his drawing left-handed nowadays, especially for the books like Flood. He did a lot in his left hand, and so I was like, oh, let's try it out. But the book that I am doing is quite funny. It's a comedy type book. It's got lots of jokes and things. So this type of illustration just I don't think would match, but I did like how some of these turned out. They were a bit cute. I was just practicing also drawing Stephen looking away. Oh, I need to get my cold wax medium for this next page. This I painted over because I don't know what I was doing in the background, so I just used some yellow acrylic paint to paint over them, and then just did these ink drawings over the top. That's a seal swimming at us, so I thought, why not? This was with watercolor. I hate it. I actually don't like how this turned out. I think it's the colors. It's just, I tried to use the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors like gouache, but it just didn't work. And it ended up sticking the pages together and ripping them and blah. So this was going to be one of the spreads from my book. It's almost like a bit of a comic book type thing. I did the first one, not the other ones. And I was trying to show here him with Steve with his back, but I don't think I quite captured it there. It just kind of looks like he's got a banana on his head, really. And these were some sketches from that. And these were some of the characters. The problem with these is I had AI help generate the ideas for them, and then I drew them and added to them. These are way too detailed for the size of the illustrations, really. But I do actually really like how these turned out. And then, oh yeah, those were just some of the things I was using in the book. That's that brush pen I was saying. I've had it for years. So yeah, that's the first book done and dusted. So let's have a look at this other one. So this was meant to be animals and objects. I stuck to it because I do lots of animals. Ah, dear. So you can see I started off doing studies of those chickens running. I had the same type of goal to begin with, is to do the illustration. There's a duck butt there. So I was drawing some ducks and chickens and things like that. A lot of lead pencil work. This was mainly in New Zealand, so this was early on. This was towards the end of that picture book course. So yeah, I was just, and then I started writing notes about what they look like and the colours. When going fast, head really close to body. So the faster it's going, it does this, tucks its neck in. And then that was one of my watercolour palettes I had with me, just drawing it. Again, animals and objects are sticking to me. It's an object. But yeah, all these are pre-ugly art. Yeah, some more drawing. I had a Coke bottle, thought I'd draw it. And I've already broken it. I think this was actually at Hill End. I was doing I had some watercolour, and I thought I'd just have a play around with mixing some colours, because I have really bright watercolour sets. So I thought I'd play around with mixing some colours and popping it down. Some drawings, and playing around with this whole, like, doing a watercolour box and then just drawing on top, and doing multiple things. None of these relate, other than the fact there's 3 birds. And again, this is pre-ugly art. Bit of a tree branch, trying to, just the leaves. I just don't know how to stylize the leaves of a branch of a eucalyptus tree. These were, I think, some 1-minute sketches. I feel like this guy here I did as a draw with me on my Instagram ages ago, ages and ages ago. Really practicing that profile look, trying to mix things up a little bit. This was a dodgy print. It just ended up really badly and folded and stuff, so I cut it in half to use to put in my book. Some more drawings. I don't know, this is the start of the ugly art here. I actually think I went to the zoo to draw these next few, and as I was driving around Dubbo Zoo, just drawing really quickly, because you had to draw quick because the animals move. And there's a baobab tree there. So you got some meerkats here, and I was drawing them quick. Rhino, really getting into it. Rhino, giraffe, zebra, just really having fun. This one, the giraffe wouldn't stay still, so I just redrew his neck. Why not? Just really more of a study of it rather than trying to get it accurate. One of the hippos that was there. And this was just colour pencil drawing. This was meant to be Steve with his girlfriend Ricky the stick. I don't actually like how that turned out. It's not quite what I wanted. A piranha with a hat on. Because why not? You know what I mean? I had a go doing a chimp. I actually think it's a baby gorilla, this, because there was a illustration competition and I did these and just hated them, and I went, oh, I'm not going to enter. Again, this was another AI image that I was drawing, trying to get like some cool clothing on a person. These are probably harder to see because they're with light coloured pencils, but again, this was that whole gorilla. I just didn't like it. This is a walrus swimming, trying to get some more expression into the walrus's face. Oh, here we go. There's 6 different walruses. This was an activity for that course. I was saying the children's book illustration and writing course said about drawing the same face 6 or 7 times with a different expression on it. And what about if the seal's trying to feed itself, kind of thing? Or not seal, the walrus. I actually really enjoyed this. I enjoy drawing walruses. These were some blind contour drawings. I think of some people I was in a meeting with on Zoom. I quite regularly do that. I'll draw the people I'm in a Zoom call with. And I just had some coloured pencils on my desk. And I think these were those backgrounds where I said I was cleaning off my brush. And every time I changed the colour, I'd put the excess on here. So I just did coloured pencil over that gouache. This was the start of my blind contour exploration, having fun with that blind contour and doing multiple ones. I actually think these are the sketches I did in my blind contour YouTube video, so I will put the link to that one down below so you can see it. Use some charcoal here, a rhino, and I think a leopard here. These were lino prints. and I wanted to have a play around with doing a lino print and then painting it with watercolor over the top. And I actually really enjoyed it. I discovered that you needed, even the water-based ink, you need to leave for a long time so that it doesn't reactivate with water. So I found that if I, even after just 24 hours or 48 hours, it would still reactivate. But a couple of weeks later, fine. It, as you can see here, painted over the top of it with watercolor, and the original print did not move. So I actually really like how that kind of turned out, using this graphic thing and then doing a really loose watercolor over the top of it. Yeah, so I thought it was a good idea. Some more blind contour drawing. Again, I think this is in that same video. More blind contour drawing with a Sharpie. I think that's a Posca paint pen. Same with that one. Yeah, another person I decided to draw. I actually really like how these faces turn out when I do the blind contour. I think that's cool. Same with this one. Whether maybe I need to do some larger artworks with just a blind contour drawing of some faces. Just an idea. You never know. I think this was a glass dip pen with a yellow ochre ink by Art Spectrum. This was again those faces in this Zoom call. I have a Zoom call regularly every week for an art mentorship program that I've got, and so sometimes I'll just literally sit there and draw the people or paint them. Not that you could tell who they are, but I was playing around with using bright colors in a different way. So I think this was actually with my gouache palette, just playing around with some, and also playing around with what colors go where and getting tones and things. So really playing, like real big emphasis on playing with all of these sketches. So again, I often do this and draw the same picture over and over again, and I love these blue-faced honey eaters. We get them here all the time, and I thought, oh, what if I just paint it in blue? Watercolor, I think that is. Might be gouache, I'm not sure. And that's color pencil and then some gouache or watercolor on top, I'm not sure which. So these are gouache paintings. These were part of making ugly art regularly. I don't think they're ugly enough anymore. I think they're a bit cute. So it's not really what I was after. This was again just some blind contour drawings. So doing multiple on the same page with different colors. These were, I think I was testing out I got a couple of the Neo Arts by Caran d'Ache. And I got a yellow, a green, a pink, and this indigo color. I was just playing around with it. So this was a fish with acrylic paint that I then used Inktense over the top of. I don't know how I like that one, but I was just playing. Ink pen with the Neo Arts over the top. Pencil, watercolor. Why not? Little cutie pie koala sleeping. So we're really in the thick of the ugly art type thing now. This was me playing around with my new Indigo Inktense block. I love it. It's so good. I need to get it back out again. I haven't done much drawing with it lately. I need to do it. Just some an ink drawing of a bunny. Playing around with using the dropper of the ink bottle. This was a play of mixed media, trying to work out how I can get gouache, acrylic paint maybe, pencil. How is it I want to use them to work with each other? How do I want them to interact? I played around with adding more colour to blind contour drawings, and I just used my Neocolor 2s to add some colour and colour in each section that I created with the blind contour. I actually really like this background. So these are just some drawings of my dogs. Again, blind contour drawing, adding, I don't even know what I added there. I have no idea. Using an ink pen for there. This is back to my Zoom calls. Just blind contour drawing of the participants. This was an ink dip pen with some ink and my Neo Arts again. Just playing around, especially this one, more so than the last one. This one is big time about play. So this again was playing with the Inktense. What happens if I put the Inktense down, add a bit of water, and then maybe add some Neo Arts? So that's what that yellow is, the new Caran d'Ache Neo Arts. Playing around, just playing, seeing what works, what doesn't. I'm always endeavouring to get better at painting. Hated this painting, that's why I added the outline, which again I think maybe that might be my Inktense, not sure. Putting Inktense down, what if I do Inktense and instead of using water to activate it, what if I use gouache? That's what this play was here. This one here turned into one of my sketchbooks. Here it is on its sketchbook. This is the sketchbook I got it on. I've got these for sale in my shop right now if you want to get one of these. I actually thought this is so cool. But I think the only reason I didn't pick this one for the sketchbook is because it is landscape. I like more of a portrait sketchbook. But I've been playing around with more landscape type sketchbooks. This is actually portrait that opens this way, so it's actually like super long. I've been playing around more with more landscape type sketchbooks and just seeing what works for me. So maybe my next sketchbook drop, maybe I will do a landscape one. I don't know. I haven't planned that far ahead. But that is the reason I didn't pick this drawing, and I did pick this drawing. I picked 2 of my octopus sketches, and the other one's in this sketchbook too. Some flowers again, some painting, graphite blind contour drawings. This page, as ugly as it is, more because of the colors, I had to play around with drawing and then adding. I had this day where I had this kid in my class, and I quite regularly work in the support unit at school, and he was having not a great day because there were a few changes and he didn't really want to be there. He wanted to go back to his own classroom, but it wasn't an option. So instead I grabbed some googly eyes, and we just got this book that he loved, and we just put googly eyes on all the animals, and he was just in stitches. And you know what, so was I. I thought it was hilarious. So I came home, I drew some animals and put my own googly eyes on them, some pretend googly eyes. It's still one of my most fun pages, really. This is the other this one here is the other one that's on a sketchbook. I don't have that sketchbook with me, it's inside at the moment. But yeah, I've got a couple of those sketchbooks left too on my website. I love this one, I love this one. Again, this one is a brilliant drawing, and the only reason I didn't pick it is because it's landscape. And like I said, don't have many landscape sketchbooks. Although looking at it, the amount of times I've turned my book this way, maybe I need to have a landscape sketchbook. A few more. Maybe I need to. I'll have a chat to Lou about that one. We'll see. Because I actually really like this sketch. I like this sketch as much as this one. But I picked this one because of the orientation. Yeah. And this was just the same, doing the same octopuses, but just blind contour with some different materials. There's a green one there too. I don't know if you can see it over the top. Some birds. This was again that same play session. I think I did some ink with the Neo Arts. I think this might have been actually an art haul video I did. And this is Inktense. I got the Inktense block and the Neo Arts. And I think I got this indigo ink as well. And I got the fluoro paint. So all of this was in a haul. This was playing around with it. I actually got some masking fluid as well. So I was playing around with masking fluid with I think I put in the Inktense over here and the ink over this one just to test it out. The Inktense actually, when you draw over it, it was scratching up the masking fluid. So this one didn't turn out quite as well. But I really liked how some of these really crisp lines turned out here. Another disaster painting that I added on top of. And so this was me playing around with that whole blind contour but colourful, and painting each different section a different colour. Some more giraffes. I did the exact same 2 giraffes because I so enjoyed this. Actually, I really love this colour palette that I decided to do this. And obviously this I did one day when I had some extra paint on my brush. Some more drawings of the octopus, but I did 3 in 3 different colours. The blind contour, all of them. Those same 2 giraffes again, but with ink, and then I thought I'd try just add one single colour over the top, because the background was really quite busy in this, and I thought, what if I just went a light colour over the top? Yeah, why not? Same 2 giraffes. I do this all the time, where I just draw the same picture over and over again. This page was because my nephew wanted me to draw some dinosaurs. So we did some basic dinosaurs. And he loved this one because they headbutt each other. And he thought that was hilarious. Giraffe again. More dinosaurs for my nephew. Why not, I say. That same giraffe again in, I think that's the Neo Art. That was just a rose that I drew with coloured pencil when I was in New Zealand. So that's very early on. Even though this is the second last page, that was a very early on sketch. And then that was a little landscape of New Zealand. It was the view from where I was staying. Thank you so much for joining me for this. Now I'm going to start now the silent, it's not going to be silent, I'll put a flip through with just music, so if you just wanted to listen to that you can. I will pop at the end as well some suggestions from videos that I've mentioned in this video. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to like and subscribe.